Hi, I'm your host, Dragon of the East Blue.
I'm your mangaka, Johnny Spector.
I'm your hardcore Naruto fan and Narusaku hater, Super Loco.
And I'm your writer, Lord Dasso.
And we're here to bring you a web show we call R.A.N.T.
Hope you enjoy it.
Because bitchin' what we do.
Naruto forever, fuckers.
Hi, I'm the Dragon of the East Blue, and today for this episode we are going to go back to episode 1 and discuss what we talked about in episode 1, but with all the hosts this time. So the topic here is, why does anime not suck? So Johnny, go first. What do you think?
Well, when I think about this kind of stuff, I agree with what you said about about cartoons of America being more like, how can I put this? Not as much of a plot system to it. With anime, there's almost every single time there is a plot, and there isn't. It's more for comedy's sake, and if there isn't, well, it's nuts.
Yeah, because like it's all of them, like South Park, Family Guy, all of them. It's the same thing because they just want to make laughter because it's the only way they can get away with some stuff. And it's all of them. It's not even just for laughter. Like even like the Looney Tunes, which is pretty much also for laughter, but there's no plot. It's funny as hell and it's great to watch, but it's annoying.
At the very least,
it's
not a continuous plot.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, like let's talk about anime more. About the anime, like the guy talked about, like he hated the animation being slow. I think it's kind of split in half a bit, but what people believe, like if the animation is slower or not. I find that the animation is not slower. Like I've watched, if I go watch say Yu-Gi-Oh on TV on YTV, the animation does look slower, but I watch it on the internet and it looks perfectly fine.
Oh yeah.
It depends on where you watch it and where you watch it from. Because sometimes it can get light.
He does have a point.
Yeah, and you know how I noticed with I remember going to, well, usually electronic stores, how they usually show off HD TVs and see how, like, the very high resolution, the very powerful screenings, they usually have the slower pace. It seems, well, the point is, it's pretty different than normal TV.
Yeah. And also, I think another one of the reasons why is because I think not many people have been introduced to anime enough. Because what you know, you only got like a few shows on like Cartoon Network now with only Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and I think that new show Bakugan, but I didn't bother with that kind of stuff because that looked just very cheesy.
Yeah.
Actually, it is, man. I've seen. You know, some of it's pretty damn cheesy.
But they brought back an old one that we grew up watching, Beyblade. They brought a new series.
Oh yeah.
And I'm really happy they also brought back Dragon Ball Z and they're re-showing it. But the problem is that the good ones that we grew up with are not bringing them back because I don't think is Adult Swim even on anymore?
Yes, it is. But obviously the bad news is that they only show anime once a week, like on Saturday evenings. So.
Yeah, it's just fucking stupid.
And when it says they only show anime on like Saturdays, I mean, come on. If you're gonna showcase anime, at least do it every day. I mean,
yeah, exactly. It has to be like in the old days when I was growing up on YTV, Dragon Ball Z. They're playing YTV. They put Dragon Ball Z on YTV. They put Pokemon. They put Yu-Gi-Oh. They put Digimon, Monster Ranchers. They put Beyblade. Everything was on YTV, and everyone watched YTV when we were kids. It was always YTV only.
Well, that's only because in Canada, but remember, because since most Americans always have like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Kids WB.
There's a whole bunch doesn't exist anymore, though.
Yeah.
That's true.
But really, what really is the issue, though, that has caused anime to take hits is because, because we have to talk about the American, because basically it's America that is pretty much producing the English version, so we have to see from their point of view, is that they've mistaken, or at least the ones that are doing the dubbing companies, that anime is for kids. It is not for kids. There are ones for kids, but
they're not for kids because
they're not just for kids. They're not just for
Yeah.
kids; they're also for teenage, young adults, and for mostly adults as well. Otherwise, we
I
wouldn't have hentai, which is awesome
yes,
Yes, I
hentai
agree.
is awesome. Well, most of the time, not when you
to an
know.
extent. To an
All
extent.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But I do want to talk about that when you talk about dubbing. Um, I believe that if you're gonna dub anything, you have to go to a country, and I don't care what language, whatever language it is, you have to do it in a neutral site, like say the United States and Canada, which both countries seem to have neutral accent.
Yes.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely, yeah. Thanks.
yeah. Because you can't have it in in India, you can't have it in England unless you hire the right people on the proper level. Because in order to get a neutral accent, it has to be in a much higher place, like say cities.
If you remember the 4 Kids version of One Piece,
Don't
Uh,
go there,
just
please,
but
because,
we have
John.
to talk about it that way, dude. That's like the biggest point about
just
I do want to talk about what.
one at a time. Go, Suppy.
No, go Johnny, because this could wait.
all right. For the 4 Kids version of One Piece, if you any of you ever seen G0069 on DeviantArt, you've known that he does that 100-page rant on 4 Kids, which I agree mostly because originally I had no idea about the Japanese version of One Piece, so I
Yeah.
immediately got hooked
Well,
on
me
it.
too. But the thing is, I
But
started off by watching the Italian version, which is an amazing job. Like Italy had done an amazing job dubbing. Like,
Oh,
Thanks.
god damn it.
may I
I'm
continue?
sorry. No, yeah, man. I'm just kind of laughing what Dragon Age Blue said, because that's usually how we start off sometimes.
Hmm.
and
But
just yeah,
when I got to the Japanese version, I immediately got hooked and see how it was better because the voices actually flowed better with it.
yeah.
Yes.
And of course, if you realize, I also read the manga before I watched some of the episodes in the 4 Kids dub, and I really thought about trying to put their voices into there, but the ones when I watched it the 4 Kids was like, what the fuck? What the happened? It just and of course when I realized that they cut out episodes from the original anime.
Oh yeah, and do what Tommy Wiseau does and replays the same scene and put it in another episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, the changing of different pieces in there, like getting like missing, like erasing blood and changing the guns in there. Ugh.
That is just
Yeah,
sad.
censorship is really an issue because
Yes. It shouldn't be an issue, but most people, because 4 Kids is basically just for babies. They made it so that would it could be barely understood on a toddler level. I mean, come on
you have to
now.
have zero
God.
brain activity for it to make sense.
Two
Yeah.
things
Exactly.
though. Two things before kids. I think like there are two ways you could use it. One way is the totally useless one about the whole edits and the edits. That's the real problem with me. I could really care less about the voice unless it's obviously terrible, of course. Like if it
Like the one they
like
put Pearl in like the one they put Pearl on the Barati arc.
Or Sanji, that was
I
pathetic.
I believe the voice. I forget the name of the guy. He was from Yu-Gi-Oh. He's like this big buff guy, but they give him this voice.
Oh my god,
That,
yeah, that was some 5Ds. Like, I'm gonna draw two cards! Something like that, fuck.
yeah, there
Oh
you go.
god,
That's the
that
one.
was
That's the
sad.
one. Yeah, I mean that's obviously a bad choice of
It's
voice.
because they don't have multiple voice actors. They have maybe 10 at most, but a lot of them do the like different voices of different characters at the same time. That's how America rolls. With Japan though, they'll hire as many voice actors as they need.
And yet,
Yeah.
sad, one of the voice actors working with the 4 Kids dub of One Piece was Sean Shamel, the
I
voice
can't
of
believe that
Goku.
though.
Yeah, Sean Shamel is awesome. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was honestly, in my opinion, he was the only reason I watched the 4 Kids dub. That was the only reason, because
I
of
think
him.
He's the
I think
announcer in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, right?
I think.
Yeah, because I recognize his voice instantly. I'm like, holy shit. And it's like the second time I've watched the series so far, and I'm like, wow.
when you think about it, the voice that really is hilarious is Dan Green.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although not because I think it's bad, but I think it's like when you give him the voice.
He makes it.
Wait, yeah, wait a minute.
He is
With
epic. He's
with
epic.
Sonic X. I remember Sonic X. He does the voice of Knuckles.
Oh
And
yeah.
at first when I was watching Sonic X years ago, I noticed that Dan Green was the guy who made. I mean, it was the same guy. Yu-Gi-Oh and in Sonic X. And you listen to Knuckles, you think it's Yugi. You think it's him. I mean, that's the thing. It's like there was no real effort to changing the voice. I'm not saying he's a bad voice actor, but I'm saying that there was really no change to it.
If Jesus had a
It
Yeah.
makes
voice, it would be Dan Green. It's already been confirmed.
Yeah, I think Dan Green is kind of like the Christopher Sabat of 4Kids, if you ask me, because with Christopher Sabat, he usually does like the same Piccolo voice when it comes to voice acting, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it's pretty common to know he's yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but going to an early point. I mean, you look at some of the animes. I think you look at Naruto. You look at One Piece. Most noticeably those two because since they are very popular with a lot of age groups. Um,
Yeah, like there's
it, it
people still like in their 20s, 30s that are still watching and reading Yu-Gi-Oh. It doesn't matter how old, not Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean,
yeah, even
Naruto.
Yu-Gi-Oh. I forgot to include
Well,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
it's true.
Just
Like I'm 17 and I'm still gonna play the game for a few more years, and I'm still gonna watch it and read it for another few more years because it's just that awesome.
I think we have to look at the perspective of standards and practices from each country.
Yeah,
Uh,
Japan has
because
none. Japan has like almost no censorship whatsoever for copyright, not for copyright, but for censorship laws. There's
except
almost
for
nothing.
pornography, I mean, for some reason they censor out Celia. But anyway, Naruto and One Piece. I mean, back right there would be a kids show right here in the Americas overall. Just from an overall standpoint, um, we make it look as not a kid show because we have different standards. We think that nudity is anything sexual is completely wrong, and we allow violence. That's kind of a hypocritical start, but
What's hypocritical
Indeed.
is that, well, but minus the fact that guns are censored and that sort of stuff. Yet they have Looney Tunes, which is for kids, and they're Elmer Fudd
have a
and other
rifle.
characters with rifles that are
Well,
shooting people
well,
and that kind of stuff, and also that your country basically runs on guns. It's yeah, but for what I think with what America gets away with, this is my opinion, but I think it might be a racial thing. It might be racist because everything that can appear in Japanese anime will get censored if it's posted on if it's broadcast on American channels, but America can do the same thing without a single problem.
Oh yeah.
It's because the Japanese are basically outdoing us essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason. Like, that's why people got mad when they saw the new Wolverine and new Iron Man. I think this is pushing it to where it always should have been. In my opinion.
It's because their kids know their math skills better than any of us.
I don't know. The new Iron Man anime coming out seems pretty interesting. I mean, might be kind of fun to see what it looks like. Yeah.
All right, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It looks very cool.
If people want to know why we're mad if we watch the original Japanese, it's because we're tired of fucking kids
These
or people our
dumb
age.
standards and practices.
We're not gonna
Yeah,
take
but
it.
Yeah.
I'm mad that they're saying that it sucks. The show sucks, so they're watching it in the crappy like English dubs, and then they say it sucks, and you can't convince them otherwise because they're so fucking hard headed.
Yeah,
That's what
how
pisses me
I
off.
feel.
That's
People,
why.
people seem to get the wrong idea about it. So.
Right.
That's the thing. Is impressions that we don't want them to have.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Funimation has brought back both Dragon Ball Z, which is the good stuff, and One Piece in a very well done dub.
This is the thing, though. If a voice works, like saying not necessarily
Continue.
for kids, not necessarily for kids, but in any other dubbing company, and the series gets transferred into another company, why
If you get
can't
transferred over,
yeah, why can't you just keep the voices? I mean, the ones that work, obviously. I mean, you look at
I think the reason is because that the actors are tied to that company.